News starts now.
It's not inconceivable that I may try to get him released on electronic home monitoring or something like that.
Colton Harris-Moore's attorney talks about what he may do now that the way has been cleared for his client to come back to Seattle. Harris-Moore stood in a federal courtroom this morning and essentially put his case on the fast track to come back to Washington.
King 5's Jim Foreman was in court in Miami and joins us now live with more on that hearing this morning. Jim?
Yeah, it went very quickly, and unlike Wednesday, there were no dramatic turns of events. You know, it could be days, it could be weeks, depending upon who you talk to from the U.S. Marshals Service. But in any event, the legal hurdles to take Colton Harris-Moore, bundle him up, and ship him back to Western Washington have all been cleared. As for what happened today, it has been a stormy day in Miami, but Colton Harris-Moore never stepped outside for even 1 foot as he was transferred from the federal prison to federal court and out of the custody of federal marshals. The hearing lasted all of 3 minutes, but for Colton Harris-Moore, it marks the start of his long trip home to face those looking to bring the so-called Barefoot Bandit to justice. The teen who dared authorities to catch him if they could finds himself now in the company of others who have been caught. On one side of the chain gang today, a suspected kidnapper and carjacker. If any of this had been sport to the teen, he has had a rude awakening that he is now in a world of serious trouble. And unlike Wednesday when Harris-Moore told the judge he needed to talk to his mother, today the 19-year-old didn't utter a single word, letting his court-appointed lawyer speak for him, waiving his right to fight transfer back to Seattle and waiving his right to be heard on the matter of being held without bond. And his return to Western Washington will be much different from the spectacle of his deportation from the Bahamas, where his 2-year run from the law came to an end in a hail of gunfire. Now, as I said, the Marshals Service does not talk about prisoner transport, but Harris-Moore's return could happen quickly on a government jet or a commercial airliner. Only on this flight, it will be a professional pilot at the controls, and not the boy bandit who taught himself to fly, who flew all the way across the country, made that daring trip from the Midwest all the way to the Bahamas where he crashed his plane, and that's when the noose was tightened around Colton Harris-Moore's neck. He's in federal custody. We won't know probably until he actually is in the federal detention center down by SeaTac that he has arrived back in Western Washington, but his lawyer thinks that it could be sooner than later. So that's the very latest from Miami this new time. I'm Jim Foreman, King 5 News. Now back to you.
All right, Jim, thank you very much. Colton's attorney is here in Seattle waiting for his client to be returned to face charges. We talked with him a short time ago about the young defendant who has gained so much attention across the nation for his alleged crime spree.
But my job is really to try to get him treated as a person who committed allegedly a number of property crimes, not some folk hero.
John Henry Browne also says he believes U.S. Marshals will make special arrangements to transport Colton. He says he believes that he could be back in Western Washington Monday or Tuesday at the latest. Browne also says Harris-Moore has spoken with his mother by phone, but that he has not seen her yet.
Colton apparently read about his exploits while on the run. Orcas Island writer Bob Friel wrote a blog that Colton reportedly followed. Friel weighs in on the media frenzy that has accompanied Harris-Moore's arrest.
It's the adventure part of this story that has captured, the entire world's attention. But back here at home in the Northwest, we know it's much more than that. There's a lot of tragedy, an awful lot of victims. Many of them are friends and neighbors of mine here on Orcas. And Colt's personal story is a tragedy as well. From people who actually know him, who have spent time with him, they all tell me that he's a good kid. And from looking at his upbringing, we know that he was a bright, resourceful child. He had to be, really, to survive. The folk hero kind of stuff grows out of that adventure part of the story for people who aren't as close, either to the victims or to Colt themselves.
Friel was in court in the Bahamas when Harris-Moore was fined the $300 and deported to the U.S. He says there was an extraordinary amount of security, but that Colton remained calm throughout the proceedings.